introduction and then we start.
So good evening everybody.
Hi. Good
I'm
evening.
so very happy to say that for one time in our life we had someone approach us to say, you know, auntie, I'm so good at this and I want to do this for VXL. And we did not, this invitation for doing this wonderful mindfulness workshop has come from Anandi. And first of all, I want to say thank you for that, Anandi. So sweet of her. She's done something for parents, and she's been Anandi has been an ex-colleague of ours in VXL. She worked for many years in the psychology and counseling division, and at present she is the assistant professor at Lady Doak College in Madurai. And she has a way with working with children, with parents, and with adults. Like you will see that mostly in the even in the counseling department, people have their preferences and they will be good with children but okay with parents and all. But Anandi was actually quite flawless through with working with everybody. And very kind of her, some few months ago, she'd approached me to say, can we have a few mothers? I want to do something for the mothers. And in the words of Pon Rajam, it really made a big difference to her. And I was saying, is there anything you can do for us? Everybody in this world needs mindfulness, and especially after what we've all gone through the last year, we all felt that we really needed someone to put us on track, or at least become a little more conscious of ourselves. And Anandi called, messaged me and said, Auntie, I promised you, and here I am. A very, very warm welcome to you, Anandi. Very kind of you, very, very sweet of you. And we were greedy. We said we are going to do it in two ways. We are going to do one, we are going to have people attend the English one now. And for many of us, because I wanted every akka, every anna, the watchman also to be benefited from this. And therefore, I felt that mindfulness is something which everybody has to do at every minute of the day. I felt that it will benefit all. And we are going to arrange a second webinar for them whenever Anandi is available in Tamil. So, whoever is in yes, can you all put your camera on? We can't see you all.
Gayatri will join.
Gayatri, all right. Anandi, over to you. I don't want to take a single minute away from yours.
Yeah. Thanks, Anandi. Just wanted to say that. Yeah. Glad you're here.
Usha ma'am will join shortly. She's in the farm.
Okay, a very good evening. I want to thank each one of you for being here, and we'll start with a small activity. I think you are all attending the whole thing in your own places, right? You do not have anybody nearby. Okay.
We have. Some of us have.
Okay. I'm just, really overwhelmed seeing all of you after a long time.
Hello, Anandi. How are you?
Yes, I'm good. Thank you. Usha ma'am, is it?
Yeah.
தெரியலையா உஷா மேம் அடையாளம் தெரியலையா ஆனந்திக்கு?
No, she has to search.
Hi.
Hello.
Or your laptop, then you can see.
Yes. Okay.
Hi,
I
sir.
want you all to, close your eyes for a minute.
அங்க போயிடலாமா? Just we actually will see a 9 minutes.
Could everyone please mute first?
And the host mute everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, can I begin?
Yeah.
Anandi, you're on mute.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Now I think I unmuted. I want each one of you to close your eyes for a minute and observe your breathing. Just observe your breathing. How is your inhalation? How is your exhalation? Which one is longer? Which one is shorter? Yes, you may open your eyes. And I want you to, like before we get into mindfulness, the reason that I asked you people to observe your breath is at any point in life, how do we know that we are mentally healthy? We know that if we are not running temperature, if we are not coughing, we are not doing something, we know that as long as we are digesting our food, we know that we are maybe physically, we know that we are doing physically well. But how do we know that we are doing mentally well? Most of us might be thinking that I think if someone has to mute, there is a little bit of noise. You can, as long as you might be thinking I'm not having any symptoms of mind mental disorders, I'm really keeping mentally well. But how do you really know that you are mentally healthy? Can I get to know some answers? Can some people answer? You can answer through the chat box. Apart from the mental disorders and the symptoms, how do you know that you are mentally healthy, you're doing well? Let me open the chat box. Yes, exhibition is short. Yes, very good. I think many of you know the answer, like some of the answers, I think from Pooji and Jita ma'am and all has come. Sleeping well from Charu. Yes. One main thing that can tell you at any point in time that you are a very mentally healthy person or your mental health is well time to time is the way to measure is through your breathing at any point in time. We might think that and also generally to reflect, this is what I'm asking. Generally what people in this world these days they are trying to do is they are trying to express their emotions. Like for example, if I get angry, I shout at people, I vent it out, or I call a friend, I vent it out. That is one way of expressing my stress or venting out. We feel that if I have done that, if I have done that displacement, I am well. Another way in which we think that we are doing well is through mobile phone, by checking our WhatsApp. That modality is called escape. Most of the entertainment industry cannot function very well if we do not have that mode of escapism. Gaming, or be it watching a serial or watching a movie, watching, I'm not saying that you should not do any of that, but using that to suppress your emotion or repress your emotion, if it is happening, you might appear to be very healthy, but you are not healthy inside. And you can watch your breathing and you can know. So I want to tell you one of the major things that I have found out in my practice throughout. Whenever I do a therapy, I do anything, I have understood this one magical element. If a person's breath has not changed before and after my session, then my therapy or whatever that I gave to them, the session or whatever counseling, be it any therapy, it has not really worked for them. It's as simple as that. Be it a child, be it an adult, be it anyone, whatever therapy you do, before and after if their breathing has not changed. So if you see children in stammering or parents, mothers of children with neurodevelopmental disabilities, or I mean, forget about any of us, if you see our breathing, if you are a person with anxiety for a consistently a longer period of time, what you would be experiencing is something called as reverse breathing. Reverse breathing is, the normal breathing is you breathe in, your tummy comes out. You breathe out like a balloon, your tummy shrinks. This is the normal breathing. If you see children with stammering, if you see children with mothers of parents with neurodevelopmental disabilities, I mean, many of our parents who had this issue of anxiety over a long period persistently, they might be experiencing this reverse breathing. I have seen it in parents when I do counseling, But then how do we really work on this? And they might be really appearing to be a very healthy person doing all the work. You might be appreciated for being an efficient person. Inside, you're not healthy. So what is happening exactly is we are not processing the emotions. I would like to tell you a very, very simple story and then put this entire mindfulness in perspective to you. Uh, there was a daughter who was she had a very bad day. She went through a lot of, hard time. Maybe she failed in her math exam. Her boyfriend dumped her. So many things happened on one single day. That happens to many of us at times. We go through a lot of stress. So that poor teenage girl went through a lot of things. She came back to home with a lot of stress, and her mother was in the kitchen. She sat across the counter and she asked her mother, I had a very tough day. Then the mother said, would you like to have a piece of cake? The mother said, yeah, that will be a great idea. So the mother started preparing the ingredients for the cake. She pulled out the flour and she pulled out sugar, eggs and everything. And then she asked the daughter, will you be able to eat the egg as it is? She gave it, and then the daughter looked at her, as long, I already had a very bad day, you're offering me like this. And then she said, would you like to eat the butter like this? No. And then the mother said, when I put all these raw ingredients and then mix them all together and bake it in the right temperature, this is going to become a yummy piece of cake. So what I'm trying to tell you all is, whatever emotions that we are going through in our life, the suffering, the pain, the good emotion, the pleasant one, everything is actually very good, very important for life. But then when all these things comes together, and only when it is baked, only when it is processed in a particular temperature, then only it turns out to be a yummy piece of cake. So imagine a cake which is not baked properly. The egg stands out. You smell the egg. It's not probably cooked, baked. How awful that would be. So many of us in life, the reason we sometimes went out, you see people who are shouting in anger, you see people who are taking out their emotions. Probably they are not baked, their emotions are still not processed, they are not healed yet, and all the emotions are coming out like that. Some people, they still put a spray on their they put some, you put some strawberry sauce and then you try to cover up your that egg smell. Still sometime it comes up. So some of us are covering up, some of us are trying to do something. In this few, I think another half an hour I'll be talking, and I think not even half an hour, 20 minutes I'll be talking, and we'll be doing a lot of exercise. What I'm really trying to tell you is, how do we process this emotion? Even going to a psychologist, I am sorry to mention here, even going to a psychologist and venting may not be a complete solution. It may not really help unless the psychologist is efficient enough. They do a therapy for you and process this, baking happens and you really process it and then come out. And many of the processing of the mind, it doesn't happen that easily. as we think, you process the emotion. So how are we going to really process this emotions? Every day we are going to have some emotions. How do we process it? One step at a time, one moment at a time. How do we process it? And even some of us, we have certain belief systems. We believe that I am not ready to give up my pain. I cannot stop thinking about this. I am really worried about this. So I'll just start the screen sharing now. The host has to enable my screen sharing. Can you do that?
I've made you the co-host now.
Oh, yeah. Yes, thank you. Imagine that I'm holding a glass of water like this, as shown in the picture. How long do you think I can hold? How long? Can I have some answers?
3 to 4 minutes.
Yes.
Not for a long time.
Yeah. What happens? I mean, I think I can hold it longer. What happens after if I
Finger will start paining.
Exactly, maybe 1 hour or 2 hours.
Pain
But
on
what
the
if
muscles. Yeah.
Yes, but what if I put my glass down every 5 minutes and then take it back for 5 minutes? Will I be able to hold it longer without any pain? It'll be a good exercise also, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
What we are looking at here is whatever that is going on within our mind, the pain, the emotions that is bothering you right now, none of us can ever put it down completely. What we are going to do today is we are going to practice putting it down for a while and then taking it back. Today, for the next 30 minutes, you're just going to put your glass down, put your whatever that is going on that is bothering you down, and we are going to give ourselves a pause. So look at mindfulness as a pause that you give yourself from whatever that is happening in your world, giving yourself a pause. The reason that we give the pause is so that we can hold that whatever is bothering us with a little more reverence and a little more things. So some of the benefits of mindfulness are you will experience inner peace, and mindfulness is like building up a muscle, like how we do the physical exercises in gym and then the muscles are built over a period of time. You will experience that you will have a lot of inner strength to handle the things that happens in your life. And of course it leads to emotional mastery. You will become more emotionally intelligent, and you will be able to de-stress your body time and again, and you will experience a relief from anxiety and depression.
Anandi, you've become
Yes,
muted.
yes. Sorry, I just dragged and pulled the thing down and it went on mute. Another interesting phenomenon that I want to tell you about mindfulness is we all have a happiness level. There is a baseline we all have. For example, the baseline of one person is 50, and another person is 70, and another person is 30. We all are fixed with a particular happiness baseline right from our birth. We all have that depending on the conditions that we go through. That is why we see that some people are very sad all the time. Some people are very happy no matter what. We all have a fixed baseline. And many researchers have shown that your baseline is more like your personality and it is more consistent, and this cannot be changed at all. But the research with mindfulness has shown that a person's baseline can shift without any major thing. So usually our baseline increases when we win a lottery. If I buy a new car, if I buy a new phone, my happiness level increases. But if you see that after 3 months again it declines and then I reach my same baseline. But with mindfulness, your entire baseline shifts to another level. So that is possible through mindfulness. So these are some of the mindfulness studies, and there was a famous research which is done with Yonggi Mingyur Rinpoche, who's supposed to have meditated, mindfulness meditations. This was a research study which happened in Wisconsin Madison from the year. It's a longitudinal study from 2002 to 16, and they have found that when you meditate, use this mindfulness practices, you also remain young. You remain very very young, and when they found that the monk's brain cells were 8 years younger than the other counterparts who did not meditate like him. So that is enough about mindfulness and its benefits. So I'm asking you all, uh, what is mindfulness? It is as simple as the quality or the state of being conscious or aware of something. And now you will have a question, what is awareness? Right? So we'll start with an exercise and then we will understand this. Let me not put it into a lot of theory. We will understand so that you will practice it. What I want you to do right now is we are going to do the first exercise of mindful breathing. Wherever you are, I am unable to see all of you. I think I should shift to a gallery view and stop this presentation for a while so that I can see all of you. Wherever you are, sit with open palms resting on your lap. And sit in a relaxed manner. And I'll give you the instructions. Okay, kindly open your eyes and listen to the instructions. What we are going to do is, I will see the time. For the next 3 minutes, you are going to watch your breath. Watching and observing are two different things. The first time we did, I asked you to observe your breath, which is somewhat you watched how much was the inhalation, exhalation, and all that. Now you're just going to watch your breath. You're not going to do anything at all. You're just going to watch. Maybe if you see a watchman, what he does is he just looks at the people who's going inside, who's coming out, who's going inside, who's, if there's something really, then he goes and probably asks, but otherwise he just watches. That kind of a watchman I'm talking about. So you just watch your breath. Inhaling, my breath is in, I'm inhaling, I'm exhaling, I'm inhaling, I'm exhaling. Just focus only on that. And in case you have a thought coming up and you get distracted, please don't bother. It's absolutely all right. The moment you become aware that you have had a thought, bring your attention back to your thought. Sorry, back to your breath. That is all we are going to do. In case you feel an emotion coming up, don't worry. Bring your attention back to your breath. This is what we are going to do for the next 3 minutes. Do not be judgmental. Do not say that, oh, I'm not able to do it. I didn't do it properly. No, you are doing it right, and you are not a monk sitting in the Himalayas. You are practicing, you are taking your baby steps. So try doing that. Any doubts before we close our eyes? Anyone? You can raise your hand here using the raise hand option and I can unmute you.
You're not asking
Okay.
us to adjust our breath. You're just asking us to watch.
Exactly, exactly. Don't adjust or don't do any long breathing, short breathing. Just watch your breath. Yes, shall we do that? 3 minutes, close our eye. Let us all close our eyes. Friends, you may gently open your eyes. This observing breath, if we could practice at least once in an hour, in an hour, if you could do it once, whenever you're doing whatever work you're doing, there is a technique called as stop. You just have to stop whatever you're doing and become aware of your breathing for 1 minute, and then again get back to whatever you're doing, your work. You might wonder this in what way it is going to help, but time and again when you do that, just mere observation of your breath, I will tell you in what way it is going to help. I'll just show you a particular picture. What do you see here? You see sky and some clouds. Our mind, if it is like that of the space that is behind the clouds, you see the space. If our mind is like that of the sky, then it is really very stable, and then you are able to do things very easily. But then what happens is, we people are constantly identifying ourselves with the clouds. The clouds are the thoughts and the emotions. The clouds come and go. If it is a stormy day, the clouds are different. If it is a sunny day, the clouds look different. The clouds keep on changing. But as human beings, we are constantly lost with our thoughts, lost with the clouds. What am I thinking? Why am I thinking? What is that I'm feeling? What is my emotion? And you see a fish in a maybe pot, a single fish, maybe a fighter fish in a pot. Our mind, the nature of the mind is actually that of the water, but the mind is constantly like that of the fish. What happens is, when we constantly put our attention on the clouds, what happens is, every time, imagine I'm sitting in a train station, and every time I'm telling you to just watch your breath. You are just watching the breath. What if I am not watching the breath? What if you're not watching? We start going behind every thought. We run, our mind runs behind every thought. As long as the thoughts are pleasant sometimes, but sometimes what you need to understand is, even the pleasant ones can give you a pain later. Whatever that gives us pleasure in the moment, if we get attached to it. So how do we really, what we are talking about here is cultivating a sort of detachment through mindful breathing from our thoughts and emotions. How do we do that? You see a beautiful river here in front of you. Say, for example, I'm watching the river from outside. How will be the view would be very amazing, will be fantastic. I'm watching the river and then I'm feeling so peaceful. I decide to get into the river to experience, maybe I would like to take a dip. I'm getting into the river. Now, will the view of the river from inside and outside, will it be different or same? Will be different, obviously. Okay. What if there is a sudden flooding happens in the river? You never know. You would have heard, no? There are so many floods that come suddenly in the river. What if there is suddenly a flood? We don't know. And then you are taken along with the river. And then the river turns into a waterfall. What happens? We'll also be diving into the waterfall. As humans, what we generally say is, whenever the things are pleasant, we want to be, into it. We want to jump into the waters which are all pleasant. It is nice, no, let me jump into it. let me not have any detachment. But if you are not able to detach from the things that are even pleasant, even that are very nice, it is it is impossible to detach from the things that are unpleasant. You can write and keep it. So we need to practice the same detachment. So you don't think that, oh, I'm asking you to detach, so I become like a monk, I become like a zombie, and then move around not really enjoying life. No, we are in fact going to see how when we are mindful, we are going to enjoy life at every moment by moment, how we are going to live our life so beautifully. So I hope this point, like got into you at every moment in life. Mindfulness helps you not to get completely lost in the moment, but you are observing yourself at a distance and you becoming aware. So, for example, how do we go about doing this in our everyday life? If you are a woman, if you are using a laptop, you're just typing something, a mail, a particular mail you're typing, just for a minute, even right now as you're watching me, become aware of your hands, become aware of your shoulders, become aware of your breath. This pause can help you to have a orientation of what is going on within you at any moment. And even if you're washing a vessel, for example, I give this example to women. Washing a milk vessel feels really very weird than washing maybe some other vessel. It's very different qualitatively. Chopping a tomato is very different from chopping a brinjal. Have you really felt the difference? You, some of you who are mindful, you would have really felt the difference. But are we really mindfully doing that? Some of us might be proudly thinking that I am so good at multitasking. But neuroscience has proved that multitasking is very strainful for your brain, and it is not at all a healthy practice if you really want to stay intact with your memory as you age. Multitasking can really drain your brain. So we are looking at mindfulness in this manner. Now we'll do another exercise which will help people who are not able to do the mindful breathing. It will help you to practice even more well. What you're going to do is, I'll give you the instructions and then you can practice. You're going to get up from your place and we are going to practice mindful walking. This time, what you will be doing is, you will get up. Imagine that these are the 2 feet that, like it's you're gonna place on the ground. You inhale, you put 1 foot on the ground. Exhale, as you exhale, you put another foot on the ground. Another foot, inhale, exhale. You keep walking like that. Don't go, let your footsteps follow your breathing. You understand? Again, we are synchronizing our footsteps along with our breathing. You're not supposed to breathe. For example, I put my foot, I'm not supposed to do that. You are supposed to follow your breath and put your foot in sync with your breath. And in case you find yourself lost with your thoughts, pause, stop there. Again, bring your attention back to the breath and start walking. Are you able to follow me? So till I call you back, you can do this for 3 minutes. You all can stand up, go to a comfortable place in your room and walk for 3 minutes. No talking, absolutely. Only you have to concentrate on your breath. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes and then you all can come back. I'll call you. Thank you, friends. I want you all to mindfully now walk to your kitchen and get something to eat, preferably a dry fruit or anything, something that you can find, maybe a chips, just one chip. Bring something to eat. Anything. If you can't find anything, just some boiled rice. If you can bring, that is also fine. Just a little. Yes, thank you, Lata auntie. If you have done the mindful walking and if you have find that item to eat, please come back. The next thing that we are going to practice is mindful eating. Trust me, friends, I just practiced mindful eating for about 6 months, ever since I started giving mindfulness training to people. And I think, everyone who looks at me says that I have lost weight. Uh, I also checked my weight. I have found that it has come down. The one reason is being so aware. I am for the After a long time in my life, I'm so aware when I am hungry, when I am thirsty, when I am full. All these awareness has come. Many a times when we eat, we are just eating. When somebody offers something, we just grab and put it in our mouth. We expect that there is something in our tummy that can run 24 bar 7 and it can just process food. When you really start practicing mindfulness, one thing is that you start loving yourself more, you start respecting your body more. And that can be one important thing that you can practice is mindful eating. So whatever the element that you have, keep it in your hand, don't eat it. We are going to follow the process that I have mentioned here. Okay, I'll just say this and then stop the sharing, and then I want to look at each one of you, and then we'll do it together. So first we observe the food. Anytime a food is brought to you, take a little time to look at the food, because most of the time we are looking at a phone, or we are looking at the TV, we are looking at somewhere else. Look at the food, be fully present to the food, and savor the food, and be aware of the texture and the taste and all that. And as you're eating, sometimes some thoughts emerges within us. Oh, this is gonna make me fat. This is gonna, cause me some indigestion. This is gonna do something that this. We are going to stop that, and we are going to be fully present, and we are going to eat. And what all, I mean, I could find one cashew nut in my house. Usually, this exercise to begin with, if we do it with a raisin, it is very advisable. If you have a raisin, well and good. I didn't find raisin in my house, so I've taken a cashew nut. So what I'm going to do is, you all might have even chips. If you have, just take one chips. Okay, don't take a bag of chips and do the exercise. take one item, whatever you have. What is that you have in hand, Puji?
Chips.
Chips. Oh, good. Okay. So take that in your, yeah, I see dates, Uma, hi. So what you do is take that item in your hand and look at it, how it is. We won't be examining a rice like this. Don't worry. Just this thing alone. Just have a deep look. And then now I'll tell you my instructions very clearly, because my participants sometimes when I finish the instruction, they would say, oh, I finished eating. You are now only, saying. So before putting this into your mouth, I'll tell you, we are going to put it in our mouth. I'll tell you when you are supposed to eat it. Don't eat it until I tell you to eat it. So put it in your mouth. Don't eat it. Put it in your mouth and feel that with your tongue. Roll it, twist it. Feel the temptation of your teeth and the tongue and all the organs over there to bite into it. Become aware of that. Now you may eat the food. When you eat like that, what happens is you will gradually realize that even a little food will fill your stomach. Our stomach is only this much. And if you do not know, please, listen to this carefully. Every time that we eat, it is important that we don't chew with our lips open, taking in a lot of air along with the food. If we keep our, lips closed and then we chew the food, at a particular point, you will experience a burp. And when that burp happens, it is nothing but your stomach is full and the food has immediately, the opening from the stomach to the small intestine has opened and the food has slipped out. Because the food has gone down, there is a, how that bubble top, when you invert the can, you feel that sound comes. You are experiencing that. Okay, someone has eaten the dosa very slowly for the first time. Glad. So you will experience that burp. When you experience the burp, your body is signaling and telling you that your stomach is full and stop. That is the burp. That is the burp comes. Our body has been very beautifully designed, and only so much acid is there to digest the food. But then what do we exactly do? We have the taisadam, we have all that sweet, everything. Only after that burp comes, we don't even sometimes are aware of the burp. So that is one thing that you can keep in mind, and eat only when you're hungry. Okay. Thank you. So please eat. I would really be realistic, people. I am not eating all my meals like this. Maybe morning meals, I'm really in a hurry. I'm still not being able to eat like this, but I could eat my lunch a little bit at times, and all my dinner and all my tea times. My tea times are my real best times. I have my own natural milkless, like tea that I have with different flavors. If anybody wants, you can approach me. I'll give you the recipes of making different varieties of tea. And I really relish that tea time with myself, not with anybody else. Maybe sometimes my son joins me We really enjoy that kind of tea. The tea time, every time you have a tea, maybe you can make a commitment to your own self. I will drink my tea only in this manner. I'll drink every time the cup touches your lips. You take a sip and then you swallow the tea with lot of awareness. If you drink that, what I'm trying to explain all along is the true happiness lies in each and every everyday life events that we do. It is not about a great outing. It is not about going to a very big luxurious resort. Even in our house, there are a lot of opportunities to create that joy within. But by hurrying, many of us are habituated to hurry. Many of us are habituated to multitask for a long period of time in our life. Sometimes even your mother would have told you, why are you sitting and wasting your time? That conditioning would have really gone. And if you sit chumma, no, people will say, why are you sitting like that? Why are you sitting just like that? I mean, I have been conditioned like that. I should be doing always something, studying, doing something, multitasking, be always very productive. But I'm telling you, it is very important that we give that time. Otherwise, what happens is life passes through us. We don't live our life. Thoughts come and go, emotions come and go, life will pass, time will fly. Whether I have lived or not, I don't know. Yeah, you will not know. Life will just pass through you. Whether you live in a hurry, whether for example, this is something like a bus is going in a train, let us say a train is going in a particular speed. And then you are running inside the train. You are running in they have put this, what is that machine that with which they do exercise? I'm not getting the name of the treadmill. Okay.
Treadmill.
You have a
Treadmill.
treadmill inside the train. The train is going in a certain speed already, and you have a treadmill, and you're thinking that if I run faster in my treadmill, my life will go very fast, and then I will reach somewhere. That is how we are all running. But actually it is not the case. The train will go in that speed only you will reach. Whatever, whether you run faster in your treadmill or slower in your treadmill, your your life will, you will drain your energy. Imagine running a marathon for as if you're running a 200-meter race. Okay, friends, before I finish, I have the last 5 minutes. I want to utilize the time and do an exercise for you, and I'll explain to you how this is going to help. For some of you, it could be difficult for you to concentrate, but that's okay. It comes with practice. Maybe I'll pass on some guided meditation audios with videos to you to through Geeta ma'am. She can pass it on to all of you, and you can try with that. Right now, for 5 minutes, I'm just going to guide you through a body scan meditation. Close your eyes. Sit in a relaxed posture. Become aware of your left foot. Your entire left foot, all the toes, the big toe, and all the toes. And gradually scan up through your left leg. Your calf muscles, your knees. Just become aware. If there is any pain, need not create a thought and get stuck there. Just become aware of the feeling. Sometimes you will realize that you do not have any sensation of that body part. You can't even sense that particular body part if you're not really tuned with your body. It happens when we start doing this exercise. That's all right. You move up to your left thighs. And now move on to your right foot, your right calf muscles, right knees, right thighs, and your buttocks region. Become aware of the part of the body that is touching the chair or the ground where you're seated. And your lower back, and your upper back, and your middle back as well. Similarly, become aware of your frontal body region, your abdomen, your diaphragm region, your chest, become aware of your breathing, your shoulder region, become aware of your shoulders, your neck region, front and back neck, and your face. Now, gently open your eyes, rub your palms, put it on your eyes, inhale, exhale, okay. I'll tell you few things about the exercises that we have done. In case any of you have felt sleepy when I did when I asked you to do this exercises, especially the body scan or even the mindfulness breathing itself, it could be an indication that you are a person, you are working tirelessly, and the only time you rest your body is the time you sleep. So what can happen is when the moment you relax yourself, your body thinks you're going to sleep, which is not a good sign. You need to really learn to relax yourself and learn to, live in that calm pace at all times, not relax your body only while sleeping. And the second thing is the reason I asked you to do the body scan. You remember in the beginning part, I was telling you all about how we are processing our emotions every day. Some of us are escaping, some of us are venting out on others, some of us are trying to suppress it, repress it, keeping it within us, thinking that everything is going to get all right on its own. What we can do is, anytime you're going through an emotion, you can even bring that emotion. You can become aware of that emotion. You can become aware of that emotion in your body. Where do I feel that emotion? You can become aware of that. You bring that emotion and then do this body scan exercise. What you will experience it exactly is any emotion, grief, anger, anything, you will feel it in your body parts. You will feel it as sensations. You will feel it as something that is choking your throat or whatever. And you will feel it not just in one part, but in many places. If you're angry, your shoulders might get very tensed. You will experience all of that. And then, as you inhale, exhale, give attention to each and every body part, you will see that you have handled and processed that emotion, whatever that you could do that day. Again, bring that emotion. If the same thing comes up the next day, process it. You will see that it reduces any pain for that matter. We just have done that part that particular day. We have not escaped. We have not done anything. When you do that, you will see that even your physical ailments. I think there was a parent who attended my mindfulness. She said that her diabetic levels, through mindful eating and mindfulness, she sees that there is a improvement in her level of sugar. There is no increase. It is maintaining at a very stable level. When I mean, many times we see that the stress can really take a toll on our body. And another caution is, if you're learning to drive a car, where will you learn to drive a car? Only in a place where there is no traffic, right? You will not go and learn driving in a place where there is trafficy. And similarly, unless you do mindful practices when you are not stressed, train your mind, train how to do things, you can, then only you can practice it when you are stressed. Many people, they don't want to do any exercises when they are very happy go, when they don't want to train their mind to control or be focused and all when they are very happy. We want to do exercises only when we are stressed. We go to a psychologist, we try all sorts of things. That is not a good approach. If you're fine, if life is going on well for you, this is the time for you to practice your mind and keep yourself stable. So when challenges come, you can face everything very in a very stable manner. So that is all I wanted to say, friends. Thank you. There are so many more practices in mindfulness, but to begin with, I thought this will be a great beginning, and I'm sure all the information is available in the websites and everywhere. You can go through. Thank you. If you have any questions, you may ask, or if you have experiences to share, you're most welcome. Thank you. Over to Geeta, ma'am.
Thank you, Anandi.
No. Anybody, in fact, Usha or Ajita, anybody who wishes to say something, do. I only want to ask one selfish question, Anandi. I realized when I was looking at my breathing that my inhaling was quite okay. My exhaling was very shallow. Like it was very uneven. I could not find I was trying to make it even because I was trying to make it even. But if I just observed my breath, I felt that my in breath was okay. My exhaling was not deep enough. Can you help me with that? Or can you tell me what to do?
Yeah. I mean, we don't try to change breath by doing mindfulness, but what happens is our breath is like a measure which tells us how we are. But if you could practice mindful breathing for a little more extra
No.
time, say mindful walking a little more extra time, you will immediately experience that. Say a pond which has been there is a muddy water, someone has gone in, and then the whole thing is muddy. And then you see that if you just leave it, it just starts settling down. If you just breathe in, breathe out like that, if you don't bring in thoughts, if you don't bring in emotions, if you just remind the mind to be in its state, identifying with the sky, just observing the breath is one way of doing it. You can even observe any object automatically you will find that your mind will settle down on its own. The thing is, we don't give the mind the space to settle down on its own. So that is the nature of the mind. It is not the muddy thing, is the nature of the mind. So if you could do it a little more, I think you will find your out breath automatically coming in. And I will tell you 2 more activities for women, because most of you are here. I see a lot of women here. Even a small stitching activity I used to do. Now everything with a lot of awareness, I discovered these things. You take a needle and a thread, you take something which is torn in your house, some dress, some small stitches have gone, you need to mend it. Take that and then put the needle into, and then the moment you take it out, automatically you will breathe out, and then you put in and then breathe out. And another very important trick I will teach you all, if you are not able to exercise, but don't do this all the time. You are not in a position to exercise. I do workouts every day, but in case if I'm not able to do my daily exercises, I do this, and my body is quite it has the same impact. With your eyes, the exercises goes like this. To process your emotions or anything, you have to look to your extreme left and extreme right, extreme left, right, this 5 times, and then up and down 5 times, and then diagonally you have to look, X this way 5 times and this way 5 times. So you look at the topmost ceiling of the room and the other side, the topmost corner of the floor, like that. So like this. And then diagonally this way. And then you can do a clockwise 5 times, anti-clockwise 5 times. I hope it is clear. This does a lot of wonders. You have to try it. Anytime if you're not able to do the workout, if you're feeling your breathing is so.
So this mindful breathing, we have to be doing it like every hour basically to be controlling our thoughts or emotions. Will that be helping in a long way? Slowly.
Yes, when you do that, see now, no, I don't have to take any effort to become mindful. Oh, I have to become mindful. Come on, let me close and become my breath. No. As I am driving, as I am rushing to work, as I am, going to scream, as I am going to lose my patience, there is a lot of awareness. When there is a lot of awareness, there is a lot of scope for us to not lose our character and lose our control over our emotions. That has been helpful in my parenting. Before I am going to scream at my son, I am mindful. Anandi, I'm going to be screaming. I'm going to raise my voice. So we learn many things, okay? Many techniques we learn, many workshops, people teach us many things. Why are we not able to put it into practice? Anything for that matter. Because there is lack of awareness. Because there is lack of we do not even know why we don't want to do something. We don't know us.
Anandi, when you said about hello?
Yes.
Anandi, this food part of it was very, very useful for me because I became very conscious for the past 2-3 years. Whatever I eat, I get tensed, like that judgmental. But when you ask me to do it, so every meal I have to just chew it like this, observe, and then take it inside, is it? And it's like eating slowly without any judgment.
Yes. Thank you, Charu.
This was interesting because I had one bit of adrisam I realized. Never, we totally forgot about this, like eating. We just grab it and eat it and just eat.
Yeah.
You said you eat a cashew or a raisin, but that bad girl Usha, she was eating the bhutta. And I very much wanted that bhutta.
Sorry,
She was so bad girl she was. I could not, then only when I put the cashew in my mouth, I could forget about her bhutta.
What
That
is
is
it
the
actually?
sweet
Gita
corn
means?
from
She
the
was that
field.
corn she was eating.
Cholam.
Cholam.
Corn. Okay.
You
Geeta,
see, nicely you said only to eat only raisin. And she showed it to everybody.
that's the sweet corn from the Shreyas farm, Geeta.
Oh.
I had my eyes
All the
closed,
kids
Gita. I
had
did
that
not
for
see
snack
Usha's
today
corn,
before they
okay?
left.
Anandi, you were wonderful. It was
Yeah,
too
yeah.
practical and too wonderful. Anybody who wishes to add to her thank you, you're most welcome. Anybody is open to say it was so practical. Please don't leave us at this stage and you
Yeah.
please come back again once more.
Yeah,
Yes,
Anandi, because
Yes.
it's a small exercise which is doable and it's uh, really,
I
really
also,
helpful.
yeah. I also noticed you had written mindfulness part 1. So if you want, we'll all come back for part 2, even if we have to pay something for it, but we will do it. Please come back and teach us. It was wonderful.
Anandi, it was
Yeah.
beautiful. I mean, it was so logically put, free of
Yeah.
any emotion, free of any judgmental, and asking us to be free, stand back and look at ourselves, stand back and look at what is happening. And the words that you used for really facilitated us to do those things without attaching any of our own I would say the emotional thoughts to what we were actually observing. And to take us through a journey like that is not very easy. How much you have used, how much you have really worked upon this particular program, how to present it and how to take people through it is something very, very wonderful. And I'm sure we all have certainly benefited by it. And really looking forward, like Geeta said, we really look forward to more sessions. And I'm sure that all of our teachers attend the Tamil version also. I think it's going to be a very, very beautiful experience, Anandi. Thank you so much. And love connecting with
Thank
you all
you.
over again.
Thanks a lot,
Thank you.
Anandi. We really need to work a lot on our thoughts and emotions because each one goes through different things, different phase of their life. And it's not easy, but during this 1 hour session, we could really, be little more aware. So, and how far we have to go to really be understanding and doing things is what we are taking from today.
Yeah, the next would be about thoughts and other things, which is a bit, we have to work on ourselves, but it's all very helpful. I have 7 more modules, and that is what I do with the mothers. Mindful breathing is the module 1, I would say, and the module 2 is a little bit of walking and sitting. So I have done a combination of module 1 and 2 for you people, but there are 6 more modules, and as it goes, the way in which how our thinking, how our patterns are, and then we come out of the pattern, we become aware of our thinking, we become aware of our actions, everything.
It was wonderful,
Brilliant.
Anandi.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thank you, people.
Even-
Thank you so much.
because I think we have been really running around without taking care of ourselves, and somehow we have to be doing it. And then there was a rush in everything, as you said. So you have made us realize that we can enjoy every moment of life if we desire. That is what I have understood. And one doubt what I had was when you asked us to sit and relax and observe our breathing, it was very light. I felt as if it was very light observing things. But when you asked us to walk and then observe our steps, like when we inhale, put our steps. I was feeling heavy, like it was like a heavy part of it moving. I had a strain, so I don't know if it is okay or is it like natural process for us to be aware of our body. So this was a difference I felt in both the breathing patterns.
Yeah. So in mindfulness, what we say is we watch our body and everything without any judgment. And even the very practice of mindfulness, it is not, the aim of mindfulness is actually not to relax. It is to become aware. That is the only goal. And eventually you feel relaxed or you don't feel relaxed is something that comes as a byproduct. So it is, I hope that is clear. But then in the process is more important than the byproduct. because you evolve as a person. There is a transition that happens within us. I'll probably end with this. Every time you feel stressed, because Lakshmi was saying we feel really stressed as we go through a lot of things. If you look at every human being, they have their own ways of struggles, right? Now I'm working as an assistant professor, doing a PhD, and having a child, and having multiple things. Many people ask, okay, are you not stressed? You're going through so much. What I have understood is I have been stressed, but what I really understand is stress is something that is external. And what I really feel inside, if I feel the stress, the external thing inside, it is purely because of the internal element, how I am able to set the internal climate, the detachment again that I am talking about, how far I am. So the more you people repress emotions, the more you people suppress emotions, the more the suppression and the repression of emotions that you carry within, the unresolved emotions, you will find your entire life stressful, even if it is not. We will just find outside elements and we blame it. We say that I am blamed because Geeta ma'am like made me do this mindfulness thing today. You will find something to blame, but actually if you say, I often give my own college, I gave this example today. For example, Geeta auntie says 1 week you all can take leave. It's going to be a holiday, you will be paid. And then she says, but please come on Sunday, do whatever that work needs to be done. How you people will be? Tell me your mindset. That Sunday, you'll be like so relaxed. Oh, 1 week I'm not going to have any work. You'll be so relaxed. Do you think you will do double the amount of work that you will not be doing on a day? Am I right or not? Because you're going to have a break. So the break, that the reason that we don't give ourselves the break and we don't have that relaxation, we push our body, we pressurize ourselves beyond a point, is what is making us feel stressful. Stress is not at all about the external objects. Mostly, it is only 8%.
Anandi, I have a small doubt. I'm sorry to ask you
Yes,
this last point.
Yes.
Will this practicing mindfulness, that means, do you think you have to devote more time to yourself? Because, you do it at some pace, which is a bit faster also sometimes. So do you think it will be a bit of, you will find a difference in your working or talking or eating, for example, because I've never eaten this piece so slowly in my life. So I thought then to eat one dosa for me will take 5 minutes or more, which I do it just like that. So it's just a doubt for me, because nowadays in this world we are always into everything as a fast, and who's going to be, it's like a rat race only everywhere. So how that will be an impact on you, or will that yes, you will definitely be mentally and physically healthy, no doubt about it, because I could feel that the pace is really makes you, the rhythm is nicely set in this 1 hour itself, no doubt. But will, in this competitive world, taking time for each and everything, will that be practically possible, and have you seen that?
Thank you, Miss Lata. That's a wonderful question. And I'll tell you, friends, doing mindfulness practices is equivalent to that of swimming against the currents. Say a river is flowing in a particular direction, you have to swim, in the opposite direction. It is equivalent to that. I totally agree. But there are few people who can, like say that I chose the path, that is the road that is less traveled by. If you want to take that road, you can do that. And I see myself, we have a lot of things happening in my workplace currently. Autonomy commission is coming, NAC is coming, this is coming, that is coming. I gave 2 guest lectures last week, the previous week 2 guest lectures, and people are not finding time to do even their own work. And they ask me how I do it. I actually don't feel that something inside. I think, I should really thank God for the practice that has helped me. Any emotion you go through, you embrace that emotion with mindfulness. You embrace even your stress with mindfulness. It's like a baby. You embrace it with that mindfulness. You feel that things becomes really, the way you see reality changes. You understand that all this mad rush is really a waste of time. You do things what is required for you. You know that what you have to do is you have to breathe. You have to be breathing calmer. That is what matters. And whatever that you can do with your calm breathing, if you can accomplish that, you will just do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anandi. So sweet of you, not just sweet. And not because you did this, because I know I can see, even from the texture of your skin and the way your eyes is, I can see that you're very relaxed and you wanted to share something that you have gained for yourself. It's such a beautiful thought that you've not forgotten about us and you brought this to us. I'm truly, truly, truly grateful to you on behalf of whole of VXL. Thank you very much. For just the thought that the way you wrote to me, Geeta Aunty, I don't want to forget what I promised you. I want to bring this because now I have, and now you've mastered it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please, friends, I am going to end the meeting now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I take this
Yeah.
opportunity. Thank you, Geeta Aunty and Ajita ma'am and Usha ma'am and all the, like Dr. Vasudha and, Sashi and I do not know, all the participants here, I do not know, who is what in what positions, but I really thank each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart for helping me with my research and also for all the support. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Thanks,
I
Anandi.
didn't
See you
read
soon
the
again.
chat so much, but please you can get in touch with me if you need. Thank you.
Sure. Geeta, you're muted if you're
Ma'am,
speaking.
you're muted.
I said 13th might not work for everybody, for Anandi, and she will let me know when she is available for the Tamil session and I will keep you all posted. And right now I am ending the meeting for everybody. Bye bye all of you and thank you for being here.